Welcome back to Daruma Dojo Dialogues. Today I have with me a good friend, Eric Gunderson. Did I say that correct? Gunderson?
You nailed it. Right on the head.
All right.
A lot of people say Gunderson, but you can call me whatever you want.
Yeah. On your Instagram, it says what?
The Grundleson.
What is that about? What's a Grundleson?
What is a grundle?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's a spot on the body in between two parts. You can look this up if you'd like, but we're not going to go into.
Oh, wow. We're starting off right there. I thought that was called a taint.
It's the taint.
Oh, I
also
see.
known as the grundle, also known as the perineum.
Perineum is a more anatomically
that's
correct.
the scientific term for it. Yeah.
Because you're actually taking anatomy, so.
I am. I just finished anatomy. Thank God.
How'd you do?
I did great.
Yeah, that was good. Anatomy's.
Lots of memorization.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is very interesting. I wasn't prepared for the level of detail. You know, you sign up for an anatomy class and you're like, okay, muscles, bones, brain. No, it's down to like a cellular level. So that was a little intimidating right off the bat.
Yeah.
But it was good.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's like learning Latin.
Yeah, it is like learning Latin.
For sure. All right, so Daruma Dojo Dialogues, we actually leveled up today. Normally we do it at the dojo, but we had black belt producer Mark Sloan. You might see him in the background making us coffee. By the way, this is probably the best cup of coffee I ever had in my life. No shiznit.
It's really good coffee.
Yeah. It only took about 45 minutes to make, but it's delicious.
It was worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'll take a wait for a good cup of coffee.
I call that hipster service.
It was a little bit hipster service.
Mm-hmm. But you'll see in the background, Mark's going to have another cup, I believe, hopefully coming soon. And you'll see the whole shindig.
We hope.
So there's a few things I'd like to talk about today. But like Eric, we've known each other now. I don't know. We met each other at Smash Gyms.
It's been 6 years.
At least, yeah.
6.5 years, something like that.
And, you just started. I was teaching, training there. And I was really attracted to you.
Thank you.
Not only in a physical attraction, but I thought like, man, this guy, he has an understanding of his body. Like I noticed that right away from training with you and watching you. Like you didn't really know what you were doing, but your body had like a natural affinity of movements. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like I don't get this guy. Why does he have that? And I was like, hey. Then I come to realize that you have a background with gymnastics.
Yep. Pretty long history with gymnastics. From like 4 years old till I was 18, did gymnastics. Competed from 9 to 18. So did it a lot.
That's insane.
It took over my life, actually. It was a lot.
Yeah. And when you told me that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That they had all the gymnastics experience. And then, I think of gymnastics, I think of like that extremely strict, crazy Russian coach screaming at you, yelling at you, stretching you until you bleed.
That was it. I had a Russian coach and a Ukrainian coach, and they were intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell a story about that?
God.
What's intense? Like, what does that mean? Like, are they throwing stuff at you?
They don't throw stuff at you, but they yelled at us a lot. Yeah, you're totally right when it comes to stretching. Mm-hmm. Like, splits are important. You had to be able to do the splits very well. Mm-hmm. And if you were real tight and you couldn't get down all the way, they would come behind you and just push your legs all the way to the mat. And you're like kind of flopping around, moaning, crying about it. Yeah, but you get flexible quickly that way. But
the body adapts.
Yeah, but I was always really naturally pretty flexible, so that wasn't the worst. But still, they would push you for it. So
you competed from 9 to 18. You said 9 to 16.
I think I competed pretty heavy from call it 10 to 17.
What's a competition like? There's so many different aspects of gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. You have what's the horse called?
Pommel horse.
Pommel horse.
So for men's gymnastics, there's 6 events. There's floor, parallel bars, pommel horse, vault, horizontal bar.
Do you do the ribbon thing?
Yeah, do the ribbons. No, that's rhythmic gymnastics. They're totally different thing.
Right.
It's not us. But yeah, males and females have different disciplines. So I had all 6. So I was an all-around gymnast. I competed all 6.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
What did you have like a favorite one?
High bar is probably my favorite. High bar is this one, the spinning around the pole one, around the.
Is that the one where they jump from one pole to the other?
That's uneven bars.
Uneven bars.
That's a female discipline.
Okay, so is a high bar like that, but just one?
Just one. So the men's equivalent to uneven bars is parallel bars, which is the 2 that go straight down.
So that's the one that we're talking about right now. The one that you liked the best was the parallel bars.
I liked the parallel bars. The high bar was just one bar at the top, and you grab it with both hands, and you don't touch it with your feet, and you go around it.
Just doing spinnerooskies.
Spinnerooskies, yeah, that's pretty much it.
And then jumping off and doing crazy.
Letting go, doing a flip in between, grabbing the bar again.
Wow.
Reversing yourself, going back and forth.
How does one develop the awareness of their body to do those kind of flips? You have to I imagine you have to just believe that it's going to happen. You have to first believe in it. You can't second guess yourself.
No, but you have to try it for the first time. I mean, it's not like you don't just hop on one day and try and do a double Kovac reverse, maneuver. Sure. You work your way up to it. As a kid, you bring in kids and they just practice kind of swinging or swinging with your legs above your head. And then you get a little bit bigger and then you start swinging much higher. And then one day the coach straps your hands to the bar and whizzes you around the whole thing. And now you're going in circles. And then once you're comfortable with that, then you start maneuvering your hands around and you just kind of build on your base.
Yeah.
So then when it comes time to do a big move like that, it's scary, but you've kind of been in that place enough times where you're ready to try it.
You have a healthy, or I don't know if it's healthy or unhealthy, but you have a relationship with fear.
A little bit.
Maybe.
I like it. Yeah.
Did that start with gymnastics?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's something I never really thought about. Maybe. Because you're pushing your body past what you think you can do, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never really thought of it that way. It's possible.
In such a different way than jiu-jitsu that you're pushing your body.
Yeah, it's a very individual sport. Mm-hmm. It's only up to you. When it goes time to compete, you basically salute the judges, and it's just you. So all that training you did with your teammates and all of that is now you. The only person that can perform your routine is yourself. So it was a cool sport. It beat my body up. I loved it, and I didn't want to play baseball or soccer. I wanted to do gymnastics. I loved doing it, but it was
How did you get introduced to gymnastics?
Doing front flips off the couch. I see. Bouncing around the house, climbing up stuff, jumping off things. My parents.
Someone said
put him somewhere. Yeah. Put him in a place. And then I really liked it. I was always naturally really good at handstands. So I was doing handstands and cartwheels constantly, and then it just turned into gymnastics. That was it. That's
really cool. I like the gymnasts do, when they're doing the rings, they're so yoked.
They're also 5'5". Gymnasts are little. I was a really tall gymnast.
I imagine that it's a big advantage to being shorter, to have your center lower gravity.
Yeah, and they're just they're jacked. Gymnasts are strong. Yeah. And the cool thing with gymnasts is they do almost exclusively body weight workouts. Those guys aren't lifting weights.
Very functional.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very functional strength training.
Yeah, I was with someone the other day and we're talking about bodybuilding versus functional training and just different muscle types, different you put a bodybuilder, I wonder how many pull-ups they could do, right?
Probably not that many.
I can't do that many.
A gymnast can crank out a ton of pull-ups.
Yeah.
Tons. You're just working with your body weight.
Super strong. That's the kind of strength that I want.
That's the strength that I want. I don't really want to get big and swole. I've always said thin to win. I'm serious. Yeah. The thinner I am, the healthier I feel.
I like when you're saying you think gymnastics and, the ability that you reached where you're able to do these flips and spinnerooskies and all these different
things.
Yeah, different techniques that one. I look at it and I'm like, that's terrifying. But you mentioned it's a progression to it.
Yeah, definitely a progression.
So I guess everything's like that.
Yeah, long road. Mm-hmm. Lots of hours in the gym for gymnastics. I think a lot of people don't. I got made fun of a lot for doing gymnastics, especially in high school, because it has that certain vibe about it. Oh, a gymnast, right?
They question your sexuality
all the time, constantly. So, but we trained hard. I was in the gym 5 days a week. I trained 25 hours a week, a lot. There was just a core group of us. The really big competition team that we really did a lot of competing, there was 8 of us. And we trained every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. It was a lot. And I didn't really get any type of positive recognition until I went to my first national championships, and I was on the front page of the newspaper in my hometown. Mm-hmm. And that was when I became really cool. So I went from being this gymnast to, hey, this kid's on the front page of the news, what's he doing? Mm-hmm. So But it took a minute. It's definitely like not like you're not like a varsity football quarterback. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the females? How do they think about you in gymnastics to start? Like, because like maybe guys have one view and then girls have another view in general.
Females always very different with gymnastics. They always thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that's what I imagine.
And I always got much more respect from people who knew gymnasts. Mm-hmm. There was a guy that I was friends with that was on a fencing team, which is not a very popular sport.
Right.
But when I remember telling him, like, yeah, I'm a gymnast, he's like, dude, that's a tough sport.
Respect.
He's like, I share a locker with a guy who's a gymnast, and dude, that guy trains constantly. And he's super jacked, but he's like, he trains a ton, like mad respect for that. That's a tough sport. Like jocks don't get it. Like, and I totally agree with that. I don't catch a football.
It's just different, So like,
Totally
I think people are always like weirded out by what's different, but I mean, you had like aspirations to go like
I wanted to go to college.
Olympics or college.
I did.
Yeah,
I did. I mean, I really, I was going to, but when I was 17, I had a shoulder injury, a double shoulder injury. I had to have surgery on both shoulders, and that was kind of it. That was a really tough moment in my life, actually, when that happened. That was like a very pivotal point for me. It was like kind of when things went south. Yeah.
It happened during
while training.
Practice?
Yeah, while training.
What the bars or something?
Yeah, parallel bars. I did something and caught the bars here, and my elbows went all the way up, and I tore both my rotator cuffs at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
So
sounds painful.
Yeah, it was not cool. I wasn't happy. I only thought I tore one, got it repaired, and then went back to training and started realizing that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Went got another MRI, and they're like, "Oh, that one is also torn." So, but I grew like 8 inches during that period of time when I couldn't train.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So after you stopped training, then you had like a growth spurt?
Yeah, my body was like, "Oh my god,
okay,
this rest thing is great." So yeah, but that was about when I was 17, 18. I had to get double surgery in my shoulders. Not cool.
That must have been really difficult, especially like after you've been practicing for so long and now you can't.
It was my life.
Yeah.
It was the only thing that I had. It was all I did. I mean, when you're doing gymnastics and you're at that competitive level, you kind of have to sacrifice like a lot of things. Like you don't get to do social activities like everyone else. Like you have to train. There's competitions coming up and you have to be ready for it.
Right.
So you had to sacrifice that. So then all of a sudden I had a ton of free time. So it was a bit dangerous for me, actually.
Yeah. So now what do you fill that void with?
Nothing really good at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends on what path that life takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of relate because I played baseball very competitively.
Yeah.
From 4 years old all the way to 19. And like it's a year-round sport, and it becomes eventually almost like a job.
Yeah.
Where you're just like putting, it consumes you, becomes a big, huge part of your identity. And then I had a pivotal point where I quit baseball, and then it's like, now what, right? And something has to fill that time, that energy, and so I kind of can relate that. Now, do you feel like, I noticed in your jiu-jitsu how that has helped you? In my opinion, but do you think that gymnastics has helped you in jiu-jitsu?
For sure.
How?
I think I have, like you mentioned, I think I have really good body awareness.
Yeah.
I'm used to going upside down a lot. I mean, I know, from doing gymnastics, what my body position needs to be at all times. You have to be very aware of it. I'm really flexible.
Yeah.
I think those two things, I'm really flexible. I'm still really flexible.
I tried to do the Gordo pass on you, and I have a hard time with that. You always like, I don't know, maybe they don't know what the Gordo pass is, but that's like the one where you pass a closed guard and you really stack the person to pass their closed guard.
Yeah.
And I do pretty well on that one, and I get you like super, super bent.
Yeah.
But somehow you have a lot of strength from there, like more than your average person. Like you have yourself super stacked, and all of a sudden like you just explode in your legs. Yeah. I literally fly.
Yeah. I mean, I can bend in half. It's pretty cool. It's a great attribute for jiu-jitsu.
For sure.
I think it's the best one that I have. I think that's the only reason I am here still. I'm flexible. Although banana splits I'm not so good with.
Oh yeah.
Definitely had my groin torn doing a banana split. Sometimes you think you can still do the splits. Don't try it. Just tap. You don't need to like.
Well, banana splits is a tough one because it's one of those submissions where like it feels like, it just feels like a stretch.
Until it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. Unless like the banana split is like separating your knee, then that's different. But like if it's just a groin stretch,
it feels pretty good for a second.
It does feel kind of good
until you can't really close your guard for 6 months.
Yeah, and then if you're like one of those people that likes to test the limit, you're like, yeah, I'm okay. Let's see how far this can go, and then
that was me. Yeah, did that. Don't do that.
So I think we all know who applied that technique.
We don't have to talk about that guy.
We don't have to talk about him.
Nice guy though.
Very fantastic.
Great
guy.
dude.
So I kind of mentioned a little bit like the healthy fear, because to me that is a part of your personality that I've noticed is like your relationship with fear.
Yeah.
And then maybe accomplishing some of these techniques and what most people would think is very scary, that you mentioned it takes a long time to develop that comfortability to do like flips and all these things. But you also have done, you also practice other things that I would think are terrifying, like rock climbing and base jumping and skydiving.
Yeah. Done a few of those things.
How when you're doing something like that, like let's just say, if people don't know, you have huge experience with skydiving and base jumping.
Yeah.
Can you just briefly talk about that so we can get into the fear?
About skydiving and base jumping?
Yeah, please.
Sure. When I was 21, I wanted to go skydiving for my birthday.
Mm-hmm. So this is pretty soon after your gymnastics, right? It's a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, when I did gymnastics, I also did other things. I mean, that wasn't like the only thing I did, but
sure. Well, you're a Renaissance man, so
yeah,
you do a lot of things.
Yeah, like jack of all trades, master of none, really. But skydiving, I went on a skydive when I was 21. I thought I was going to do a tandem. Went with a guy who had done some skydives. He signed me up to do a first jump course. So I went and did some tunnel time, which was like indoor skydiving. Did like an hour and a half of that. I was like, oh, I'm naturally pretty okay with this. This works great. Did a course, ended up getting a skydiving license.
All in one day?
No, it took me like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then that progressed. And then I started seeing these guys doing base jumps. So I started asking questions about that. Someone taught me how to pack a parachute. I drove out to Utah and Idaho, jumped off some stuff, and then it was like an addiction. Like right
before you. This is like before you actually did a skydive. Or?
No. This is after I got licensed.
So the license, you have to do a lot of jumps.
Yeah. So I got my skydiving license and I did a lot of jumps, lots of training jumps. Basically, land here. If emergencies, do this. I was prepping to base jump without really knowing it with this other guy, and then ended up base jumping, and that was kind of all I really wanted to do was base jumping after that. But I think you wanted to ask me about the fear involved with that.
Well, yeah, like because we kind of touched on it, and then tell me about like that. Must be terrifying.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, your brain says, yeah, let's do this. I want to do this. Yeah. But your body it has this like weird tensing moment where it's like, I shouldn't do, I'm naturally not supposed to do this. And you just have to go for it.
I mean, if you don't have a parachute, then jumping off this building means
you're gonna
death.
Die. Yeah, you're going to die.
So your body doesn't know like, oh, I have a parachute. This is relatively safe because, the odds are in your favor if you're trained right.
Totally in your favor. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most common things with base jumping is people always assume that it's like a 50-50. If you live or die in a base jump, it's just not the truth. That's not how it works. Like I think it's one in
every... It's not a Russian roulette.
No, not at all. And if it was, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I think it's 1 in 2,500 jumps is a significant injury, like a trip to the hospital, like broken back or something. Mm-hmm. Which those are pretty good odds. I'll take those odds. If that was a bet, I would take it. Yeah. Right. But I mean, it comes down to managing your fear and trusting your gear. That's the other side of it. You have to trust your equipment. So
1 in 2,500, huh? Do you have any statistics for like a normal? Oh, that was awkward.
We could touch feet.
All right, we're extremely close here, so you can't see what's going on below.
We're playing footsie.
Right down here. All right. 1 in 2,500. That's you're throwing out some numbers that you may or may not be true. But like, what would you say, like a normal skydiving? How much safer is that compared to base jumping?
Way safer.
Yeah,
it's much safer. Skydiving has a lot more regulations. It's regulated by the FAA. You have 2 parachutes when you're skydiving. You have your main canopy, which are your main parachute. And that's your daily driver. You hope that one opens every time. But then you have a a rigger packs a second reserve parachute that lives above that one, that in the case of your main failure, you can cut the first one away and you have a second. And you've got, you're deploying your parachute at 3,000 feet. Mm-hmm. So you've got a significant amount of time until you impact the ground to fix that issue. But when you're base jumping, you're jumping off of stuff that's 300 feet. So you only have a couple seconds. And if that main parachute opens up facing the wrong way, you're going to hit that thing you fell off of or jumped off of. Things can go wrong really, really quickly.
You only have one shot.
But it's packed in a way that that thing's going to come out. And if it comes out wrong, you probably did something wrong when you're packing it, preparing it for your jump.
Got it. So a lot goes into preparation.
Lots.
And then you jump off, and how long does it take to get to the ground?
Seconds.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, less than 10 seconds. I mean, a lot of these videos...
It's a lot of buildup.
Lots of buildup. Yeah. I mean, all the videos that are on YouTube, you just see the cool part.
Right.
And I've always threatened to make like a real base jumping video that shows what actually has to go into one jump.
Yeah.
And it's just the most boring thing. You go drive around, you use a laser, you measure it, you see where you're going to land. You have to get your parachute packed in a certain way. Then you have to go back and you have to wait for
conditions to be right.
Yeah, conditions to be right. You have to wait for, if it's a jump that you're not supposed to be there, you have to wait for that to clear up.
Sure. Authorities.
Lots. I mean, to do a 10-second jump can take you like 6 hours.
That'd be kind of a funny video where like you have like some really like dramatic music or like intense music to all these like mundane little things like
I've always threatened it. I've always threatened it to have a buddy who makes parachutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to make a real base jumping video that's 18 minutes long with 6 seconds of jumping. That's really what it is. I mean, that's kind of what it
realistic.
Huh?
Yeah. I think that's kind of like very interesting because we tend to glorify like certain aspects of life or certain aspects of, I don't know, a job or a career or a hobby, but then they don't see like, oh, great, we'll go back to gymnastics. Oh man, that guy's doing cool flips. Like, I wish I could do gymnastics. Oh, that looks so cool. But then they don't see like
all the hours involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how everyone views anything really. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, I want that CEO job. Like that guy
I want to play guitar and be like, la, la, la,
you can't do that. Yeah. Everything, like if you want to be really good at something, it takes hard work. Unless you're one of those people that can just pick up a guitar and start playing it. Oh, how's this work? Yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, but even those people have to put in put in hard work.
You totally
talent only gives you so far. Intuition only takes you so far.
Totally.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Now, do you feel that your base jumping and your skydiving career helped your jiu-jitsu?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think that base jumping or skydiving really has much to do with it. But I could say that the scariest day of jiu-jitsu for me was my first day. That was the scariest thing.
Really?
Yeah, that was just as scary as like going to do a base jump.
Oh, okay.
In my head.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm going into this place where I don't know anyone. Mm-hmm. I don't know what this is really. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm dressed different than everybody else. And here I am showing up like, boo, boo, boo. Help me. I don't know what's going on. That was scary for me.
Just being...
Picking a gym and showing up alone. Yeah, it's a scary thing.
What made you want to do jiu-jitsu?
I got tired of... Well, that's...
Because like for me, I kind of found it by chance. Like I was at a gym, somebody's like, hey, come, they were doing jiu-jitsu, and then I was like, come do it. And I'm like, okay. And so like for me, it wasn't scary at all because I was just, all right, let's go do a workout. And then a friend of mine was also doing it. So I'm going to go with my friend. And then that's how I kind of started. Yeah. But like sounds like you were like researching it.
Kind of. Well, I was researching what gym to join. I didn't really know anything. Yeah. And I just got tired of working out alone at a gym, just going and picking up weights and setting them down. Mm-hmm. It got like on a treadmill, like felt like a hamster. Didn't like it. It was boring. Yeah. And I wanted to do something that was involved with like some kind of team. Mm-hmm. And
kind of reminiscent of
gymnastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Individual sport, yet train with a team.
Yeah, something different. Yeah. And then I worked with the guy. I bounced this idea off of him. No one else was in the office. He's like, you should try jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I don't want to do that. You're always showing up all bruised and beat up.
Oh, he was doing jiu-jitsu?
He was doing jiu-jitsu.
Where was he training at?
I don't even remember. He bounced around to a lot of different gyms.
Got it.
He was like, try this. Just try holding me down. That's it. We were
in the office?
In an office. And no one else was there. And he goes, just try holding me down on the ground. That's it.
You're like, oh, this is easy. You're like 120 pounds or whatever.
He was a big boy.
Oh, he's a big boy. Okay.
But it held him down. He's like, that's what jiu-jitsu is, dude. You should try it. You'd be good at it. I was like, all right. And so I started researching and walked into Smash gyms, and a 115-pound girl choked me like 8 times, and I signed up that day.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to be able to beat everybody up.
Did you really?
Well, I thought I was going to be able to beat this girl up.
Right. I mean, that's a very normal thought.
Yeah. I initially
I should take it easy on this girl.
But I thought, put me with the guys. Like, put me with those guys.
Yeah.
And he put me with this 115, 120 pound girl that just mashed me. And I was trying hard to not get beat up.
Like, you weren't trying to beat her up, but then when she started beating you up, you were trying not to get beat up.
And I was trying to, both. I was just trying to survive, and there was nothing I could do.
That's so beautiful.
And I literally was trying as hard as I could to not tap because the head coach was watching me.
Yeah.
And I was tapping. And that's when I realized, like, oh, there's something here that's real.
How many times did you tap?
I think 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. In like a 5-minute round?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And for me, I love that. Like, we have Marcus on our team, right? Carlos's son.
Yeah.
And for me, he shows what jiu-jitsu is, because you can bring in, doesn't matter. If somebody has no training, Marcus will tap them out.
Yeah. I mean, that's
for me, that's the selling point for jiu-jitsu. Like, does that person who comes in and is like, I don't want to go with this 15-year-old 120-pound kid. I'm gonna put me with that guy. Like, okay, yeah, go with him first. Take it easy on him, and now how does that person react to his ass kicking from a 15-year-old?
Get humbled real quick,
and
that's what happened to me. I got humbled real fast. I quickly realized that there's a technique here that I do not know.
Yeah,
and I viewed people differently. Because, you kind of walk around like, oh, I could beat that guy up.
Yeah,
like, if that guy knows
pounds.
jiu-jitsu, though, I'm in some trouble. Like, I used to be real scared of, like, the big buff guys.
Yeah.
But now I'm scared of dudes with cauliflower ear.
100%.
Those guys know if they get their hands on you, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's what attracted me to jiu-jitsu, was same thing, like I hear coffee.
I hear coffee, too.
So, quick break. We got a little coffee break, making sure that the mics are working. Mic's working just fine. We were starting to talk about jiu-jitsu, started to talk about how you started and how that, jiu-jitsu is so foreign. It's like...
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Explaining it to someone's, it's weird.
Yeah.
It even looks weird. If you don't know what jiu-jitsu is and you watch people doing it, you're like...
I don't want to do that.
That doesn't look right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they're scared or uncomfortable with how close you are to somebody, the proximity.
You have to get comfortable with it if you want to do it.
Yeah.
But I learned it was easy to get comfortable with it when you understand that the person that's close to you is trying to kill you. I mean, they're trying to submit you. So you quickly are not thinking about how close this person's skin is to yours. Mm-hmm. And you're more thinking of, what do I need to do to not be in this position? So,
right.
But I still don't love getting your sweat in my mouth. It's not the funnest part of the sport, but
it happens.
It happens. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, everyone that does jiu-jitsu understands,
Yeah. It's
the sweat will drop in your eye, in your mouth. It's salty. Warm. Warm and salty.
So gross.
Yeah, but like you said, I tell people that all the time, that when they come to jiu-jitsu and they're very uncomfortable with the proximity, and I say, yeah, if you're in a fight and you have to defend yourself, the person is going to be really close to you, and you're not going to be thinking about how close you are. You're going to be thinking about survival, thinking about...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I also think it's great for kids to do it at a young age, because it kind of makes them comfortable with themselves. Because I think a lot of people are weird about being touched. I think kids with jiu-jitsu are like, oh, whatever. It's not really that big a deal, as long as it's not like out of line.
I agree. You teach the kids class here at Daruma Dojo.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I think you do really good with the kids.
I like the kids. I like coaching kids.
Yeah.
I like it when I get to teach a kid something and they get it. Mm-hmm. I think that part like makes me really feel really happy, I guess. But I've taught kids for like 4 years at least. Mm-hmm. No, the whole time.
Did you start teaching kids
at Smash?
At Smash?
At Smash, yeah.
Cool.
So I guess it's been like 5+ years
since you've been
teaching kids.
You were teaching kids as a white belt?
I was teaching kids as a white belt. I really wanted a blue belt.
So you were just like putting in the work to get your blue belt? That's why you started teaching kids?
No, I wanted to help.
Yeah. I
like helping kids out. I think kids are cool. I mean, I've got 2 girls, so I think I'm pretty versed around kids, know how to act around kids.
Yeah.
I'm a child too.
You're a dad you have 2 girls. I recently became a father.
Congrats.
Girl dads.
I'm a girl dad.
Yeah. So is Mark. Girl dads in the house.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. For me, my philosophy, at least, I'm not going to put a white belt to teach kids.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
my coaches have to be a blue belt to teach kids.
Yeah. I mean, you're the boss, whatever.
I just feel like as a coach, you should have a certain type of knowledge.
I agree.
To lead these kids. I mean, these kids are the same, it's a blind leading the blind, in my opinion. If you're going to put a white belt to teach kids, he's pretty much just a babysitter.
Pretty much. Thank you.
You need somebody there as a body to be in ratio to make sure these kids stay in line.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you're teaching very fundamental moves, but I learned a lot from teaching kids classes. I still learn. I learn a ton from the kids. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I learn the most from kids classes because that kind of the way that you teach a technique to a kid, I remember that.
Yeah,
we're playing the koala on the tree. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like when I'm doing it, I'm like, I like giraffe. Yeah. Like I need to get knee on belly. Like my brain, it sticks with me. So I like coaching kids because it gives me a really great refresher on fundamentals, on things that are really important. Because you're not teaching kids the little turn your hands this way, It's like these are the big parts of the jiu-jitsu that you need to know.
The macros.
This is the big stuff. And if you don't have these big things, you can't work on the little things. So I've always thought that teaching kids is super helpful.
That's cool.
But teaching jiu-jitsu and helpful is helpful. Teaching, what did I just say?
We all understood.
Okay.
I did at least.
Okay.
But I've been friends with you for some time, so maybe some of the audience doesn't understand.
I get, I start talking, I get lost along the way sometimes.
Where are we?
I forget where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, with these headphones, we talked to these headphones and microphones, like you're in a different world.
I do feel like an astronaut. This is cool.
It is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you, when we're teaching the kids class, man, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
We're just being silly.
Yeah.
We're making it fun for the kids. Like you mentioned, we were teaching tripod sweep the other day, but I didn't call it a tripod sweep. We were chopping tomatoes and chopping broccoli.
That's right.
And so it keeps their attention.
It's keeping my attention.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
And you don't have to like you mentioned, you don't have to explain all right, so I want our leg parallel and we're going to swipe the ground. Most kids don't want to know that. Maybe when maybe after doing jiu-jitsu for a year or two and they want to learn more of the technical aspect, but they just want to have fun.
They just want to have fun.
That's it.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. But when you're teaching adults, adults can grasp a concept much faster. They usually have much better body awareness. So you can teach those things. But to kids,
one of these days, I'm going to teach the adults class just like I teach a kids class. What do you think? How do you think that would be?
I vote yes all day. Professor says you got to play zombies.
I played Professor Says
so
the other
good.
day. I played in judo. I played Sensei Says actually.
Oh yes, sir.
Oh, round 2. Coffee.
Start vibrating soon.
Or isn't that what we're doing? Isn't everything a vibration?
I'm trying to hold it together, but I feel good.
Kids class. I've been teaching kids for a long time.
You're phenomenal with the kids.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Kids love you. I don't know how you do it, honestly. And you are like a steel trap with names, which I don't know how you do that. I honestly think that's I wish I could do that.
That's, for me, it's very important to know the kids' names. That's the bond you're making with the kid, right?
I know it's important to you.
Yeah.
You've drilled that one into me. Do you not remember the time you circled 36 kids up, maybe name them, do 10 burpees for each one I couldn't? Don't remember that.
I have no recollection of that. How did that really happen, or was that a dream?
I did 80 burpees, and you made the kids count them. It was horrible.
It was fun.
But I can't, I'm just so poor with names, and you can hear someone whisper someone's name in another room, and you're like, oh, I know who that person is. I just can't do it.
I have a short-term memory. So I can memorize someone's name really quickly, but if they stop coming for a month, I'll forget their name.
You could tell me your name 52 times and I still won't remember it. I have to write it down or something.
Yeah, there's tricks to it. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's hard for me. You know me well enough. That's not easy.
Well, sometimes we have kids that I'll be honest, they'll not come that often, and then they come in, I'm like, who is that? I know them, but I can't think of their name right now. So then, thank God for those cards that we have.
They're helpful. I've definitely referenced the cards a few times.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks a lot for helping with the kids class.
Yeah, man.
To me, that's really important. That's a big foundation for me. Like you mentioned, you like it when the kids, you teach them something and you see it click in their mind, and it's like, man, I passed something on to them.
It makes it worth it, because sometimes coaching the kids is tough. Sometimes it's really frustrating. Or I've had a long day, or my kids are I'm already irritated with my own kids.
Yeah.
Then I come in and I'm like, I can't do it today. But then, you get that one kid who, like, you teach them a sweep and they do it perfect. Oops. Like a couple times in a row, and you're like, you get it. This is worth, like, what I taught today was worth my time. This is great. And that makes me want to come back and do it again.
And I think kids are, like, so much more capable of a lot more than people give them credit.
Oh yeah. Kids are smart.
Like,
they don't know how to express what they think, but kids they know what's happening.
Yeah. Like I learned that from teaching kids, where, like, I'm teaching this person, do they understand what I'm saying? Like,
they understand.
And then they start applying the techniques, or they start taking it to a different area where you didn't even, like, I didn't even teach you that. How'd you figure that out? Like, there's some kids we have in the class that just blow my mind with what they're doing. It's really, really cool.
Some of the kids are there really have some pretty good jiu-jitsu.
They do. And I just like being around the kids, because I feel, I don't know, I think that's something for me to be able to pass, not just the knowledge, but, like, the lifestyle. Like you mentioned, a huge part is these kids are in an area where it's okay to get close to another kid. It's okay to wrestle with them and pin them down and exert that energy, where, man, if they did that at school,
you're in the principal's office.
Yeah, you're in trouble. Yeah. And this is, like, for me, I think it's a huge part of, like, what we are as a human being, is just, like, that play and that aggression and that
it's good for them.
Battle.
Or, like, Daphne, for example.
Daphne, your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter Daphne, she's 7, almost 8.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Man, she does that judo throw.
The hip throw.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
It's the coolest thing. And I think it's that one thing that she knows how to do. It's her, like, I am tough and you can't mess with me attitude in public or in general. Mm-hmm. Like, she's mentioned it. Like, if that guy mess with me, I'll just throw him. Like, yeah, please don't. Like, don't do that.
No.
But I think for her own brain, she's like, I know who I am.
She's a different person because of that.
Yeah,
That throw.
Just that one throw.
That's awesome. It's a Ogoshi, by the way.
Goshi.
But I think I only remember her doing it with the underhook. Maybe with the overhook. I don't know.
I've seen her do it both. I saw her do it last night.
Yeah, I saw it too. I saw the end of it.
I turned to that kid's mom. And she was like,
well,
both laughing about it.
She's thrown some kids super hard.
Over her shoulder, over her head.
Thank you so much, Mark. Coffee, round 2.
I can't reach.
2 for me.
No.
None for you. And I watched the throw, and it's beautiful. And I'm scared for the other kid. Like, is that kid okay? Uh-huh. And the kid, most of the time, the kid's laughing, or kid's in shock. Like, what the heck just happened? They're not hurt. And thank God we teach them how to break fall.
Mm-hmm. And for the mats.
Yeah, and for the mats. That's huge, right? Because the mats, we got 3-inch mats there.
Yeah.
If she did that at school, the kid would not know how to break fall. They're probably going to land their head.
A big problem.
They're probably going to break something.
Yeah.
They're going to be hurt.
Big problem.
Daphne is a force to be reckoned with.
I agree. We call her Daphne the Destroyer.
Daphne the Destroyer. She's something, man.
Yeah, she's real cool.
She takes after you big time.
Yeah, she's a real cool little kid. She's a regular comedian. She is.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. Yeah. Naturally funny.
She hates putting her hair in a ponytail.
She's getting better with it, but yeah, she don't like it. She wants to have long hair.
She wants to, like, let it flow.
She wants to let it flow. She's always talking about whose hair is the longest at home. I'm in, like, second place.
Who's first? Hannah?
I think Nicole.
Nicole?
Longest hair, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate you with the kids class. I appreciate what you do with the Daruma Dojo. I think our kids program is great.
It is great.
Because of people like you and all the other coaches that help,
Yeah, I like the coaches we have and the kid stuff. It's fun.
Dude, let's give a shout out. Mondays, Jeff, and used to be Premier. He just had a kid, so he's on a paternity leave. He's a huge help with the kids class.
Ramirez?
Coach Ramirez.
Yeah.
Coach Smiley.
Smiley.
Shout out Coach Smiley.
Smiley's the best.
Yeah. Coach Jeff. He's a huge part because in the beginning he was teaching a lot of the kids class. When we would have kids classes, like 1 kid, 2 kids for the longest time.
Yeah.
And and then just started to build. He was a huge help. He helped a lot.
Jeff's a real cool guy.
Jorge, who helped a lot in the beginning with the kids classes. Now Coach Ito, he's like the sweetest coach ever.
Yeah, kids love Ito.
Yeah,
he's rad.
Coach Eric,
I'm there.
Coach Bishop. I used to coach Bishop when he was like a little kid.
Bishop is a monster.
Dude, he's so cool.
Bishop's a really, really nice guy.
Yeah.
Until you slap bump with him. And he's not so nice.
He's aggro.
He's a brute.
He's a brute.
Yeah.
He's a bull. I think they call him Bishop the Bull.
He is tough.
Yeah. Who else? Joshua.
Josh was great. He's awesome. One of my favorite people to roll with, Joshua.
The flow roll, Joshua.
Just nice, soft rolls with Josh.
Yeah.
Great warm-up rolls every time.
Every time. Who else helps out? Izzy on Saturdays. Izzy was a big part in the beginning. Fridays and Saturdays, he would always bring Slurpees and snack. Every Saturday, he'd bring snacks like Reese's Pieces. And
I remember
stuff.
asking him about that. Izzy, does anyone say anything about you bringing food? He goes, oh yeah, Alberto hates it, but the kids love it, so I do it anyways.
Oh my God.
Dude, I don't think you should be giving out candy.
I let it slide for the first time, and then the second time, and then by the third time, I was like, Izzy, this is like we're trying to teach healthy habits to kids, and you're bringing Reese's Pieces on a Saturday morning and then Slurpees, and like.
I want Reese's Pieces and Slurpees on Saturday.
And
not good for you though.
I imagine you're putting those parents in like a predicament too, because like they don't. All the other kids are getting it, and now you gotta tell your kid like, no, you need to eat apple.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it when people offered my kids candy.
Yeah.
Please don't. Like now, I'm rude to you saying no, and they're gonna get upset because they get candy. But do you know what candy does to my kid at 7 o'clock? Nothing good. This isn't gonna be good. It's gonna be great for like 20 minutes until the sugar crash goes on.
And then what?
They turn into feral rodents. That's the word. Monsters.
Just complete 180.
Yeah.
It's like a drug.
Sugar is a drug.
Man.
I mean, I think
sounds like you get that high and then all of a sudden the crash.
It's like the most widely distributed drug. As we're chugging coffee.
There's no sugar in this coffee. We're taking it black.
Yeah. Bean juice make me go fast.
Enough said. Oh, man. I hope I didn't miss anybody for the kids class. I know David's been helping. Ella used to help. I mean, we have a lot of people. What I love about our dojo is that just like everyone just wants to help each other. It's a big community that
it's cool.
We would not be able to do what we do without everybody. So
yeah, I agree. I do agree that Daruma is it's a happy place to do jiu-jitsu, which I appreciate.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm not out here to be like the black belt champion, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be a world champion. It'd be cool if I could be, but I just love doing jiu-jitsu, and I like sharing it with people. Yeah. I really love teaching people how to do stuff. Or I like it when someone new shows up and they're flopping around, like, hey, try this. Like I just like giving back what I know.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lot. I mean, maybe it's a little bit, but I don't know. It's always been a very like welcoming place. People seem to be happy there, which is cool.
Yes, and black belt world champion.
It's me, man. 15 years ago.
Well, you probably can get there before then, maybe. You're a brown belt now, so I mean, you only got one more belt to go.
Yeah.
How does that make you like? What do you think about like? Do you want the black belt? Obviously, you do.
I want a black
you
belt.
want the black belt, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
What does that mean to you as a brown belt? Like that next last step, like.
I don't think it's the last step at all. I don't think it's even remotely close to the last step. Yeah. I think the black belt is it's your longest belt that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
If you continue to do jiu-jitsu, it's without question the longest belt, and I think it's the largest pool of competitors. Because if I'm going to go compete as a blue belt, you can generally say that a blue belt's going to be a blue belt for a certain period of time. But if you're going to go up against a black belt, I could be a fresh black belt.
Right.
I just got it last week.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go up against someone like you who's been a black belt for like 10 years. Like I'm in trouble here, but we're the same rank. We're technically the same rank.
Yeah, that's a great point. That was a huge thing that I noticed. I mean, I did a tournament. I was a brown belt still, but it was actually brown belts and black belts put together. And Andre Galvan was in like my bracket or something. And I was like warming up next to him, and I'm like, there's a chance I wasn't with him the first round and I lost the first round, but it's scary once you get a black belt and you get in that competitor pool and you see people that, it's a whole nother level.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I think with every belt you go up is a whole nother level.
Yeah. But black belt is totally different.
I totally agree.
Totally different, especially like if you're paying attention to competitors. Like when I was coming up, I was like competing a lot, and I was watching the black belts compete. And you're blue belt, purple, brown. Then all of a sudden you're in that black belt division with those black belts that you were watching as a blue belt, and you're like, I don't belong here.
Yeah,
this is terrifying.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, it totally makes sense. I don't want to go up against a bunch of black belts. Black belts are really good.
Well, one at a time, not like all black belts.
Yeah, but black belts, their tools are very sharp.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want one someday. Do I want one this week? No chance. I'm not a black belt. No way.
The path to the black belt.
Yeah, it's a long one. Don't rush it.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, once you get your black belt, like you're there for a while.
That's it.
It's a weird feeling when you get your black belt and you're like, oh, I'm gonna settle into this belt like pretty solid, because when you're a blue belt, purple, white, whatever, like you have like you have a goal that's not within too far of a reach.
Yeah.
Oh, another year or two, I get my next belt. That's not that far. A year or two, if you think about it. That's
not long at all. I mean, I remember being a white belt, and I remember seeing like brown belts or even purple belts.
Yeah.
Like, that's impossible.
Right.
Like, that is so far away. And then you just keep showing up, and then it gets closer, and then you're like, oh, I can smell that belt now. And like, it gets closer and closer, but yeah, I'm a brown belt now. That's weird. I didn't think that was going to happen. I wasn't planning on it. I just wanted to get a workout. And then I'm like, oh, I love this thing. Like, I would trade some very important things in my life to do this, because it was just, it's so much fun.
When you were a white belt, you didn't think you'd be a black belt?
No. It seems so, I mean, it seems so far away.
But when you were a white belt, did you think you could be a blue belt?
I did think I could get a blue belt. And that's honestly, I was like, as long as I get a blue belt, that'll show that I did something. I'll be fine with quitting at blue belt. But then I got a blue belt and I was like, I want a purple belt.
Right.
I definitely want a purple belt. And then I got a purple belt and I was like, I'm almost there. And that's when it kind of became a real...
You're halfway.
Yeah. Like, now, if I quit now, this would be ridiculous. I've put a ton of blood and sweat and tears into this thing. Mm-hmm. If I stopped at purple belt, that would be... I'm doing myself a disservice.
Yeah. I mean, I know people that like brown belts and like got so close to their black belt and then just stopped. And then you go back, it's almost like you're going to restart, because for me, at least, like, let's say I have a student who's a brown belt and they're 4 stripes, and I'm like, I'm going to promote this guy like soon, because he or she is there. And that person disappears for whatever reason. Life gets in the way. They come back 6 years later. They're no longer next to that black belt anymore. Like, they're almost starting over. They're probably going to have to put in at least a year, maybe 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, for me, consistency is huge, because you have to practice on a regular basis to keep those skills sharp. Now, those skills are still in there, but they're going to have to like dig them up.
They're a little rusty.
They're going to be rusty. And then like, as an instructor too, I'm like, all right, so this guy's going to get his black belt and then disappear for another 6 years. Like, I want somebody that's going to represent jiu-jitsu, not somebody that's going to get their black belt and then, not be a disservice.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a black belt's so many things. It's not just a belt color.
Right.
Right? I mean, there's so much that goes into... I mean, I've never had a black belt.
You'll be there.
I've never promoted someone to black belt, but I could only imagine what would go on through in your head. It's like, okay. I mean, you really have to think about giving that person a black belt. It's not a blue belt.
No. I mean, every belt, that's why at the dojo, like, we've created like the blueprint to blue belt, the path to purple belt. Like, it goes against like what jiu-jitsu was in the beginning, or what jiu-jitsu was when I was doing it. Like, we never had curriculums. We never had, here's what you need to accomplish to get to this belt, right? But I think it does a service for the gym and does a service for the student to see, like, to have this kind of like, okay, here's the structure, right? But if I didn't have that structure, I could still promote people from blue, purple, brown, black. And it's like a feeling.
Yeah.
You train with someone, you're like, oh, like this guy's not a blue belt anymore. They're a purple belt.
Yeah.
Or you see the way that they help with the dojo. You see the way they carry themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Like we just recently promoted Giglio to black belt.
That was cool. That was
super cool.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
I like rolling with him a lot.
Really good jiu-jitsu. I mean, the guy's crafty as hell. He has like some really good jiu-jitsu, and he's been a brown belt for a very long time.
8 years or something, wasn't it?
Like 8 years. But he was also somebody that did jiu-jitsu for a while and stopped and did jiu-jitsu for a while. And then he was been training with us for like last 3 years, you know, once a week. And then he had injuries and couldn't really roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this guy has the technique, and the guy has been doing jiu-jitsu for so long, and like he has black belt technique.
Yeah.
And just, you know, and then he started teaching class at the dojo, and he started becoming consistent, and he started rolling again. He just, man, he was like super, super good jiu-jitsu, super deserved it. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. Well, I think that night we all went to dinner, and we had a long conversation. What's a black belt?
Oh yeah.
And it's just interesting because it's such a different thing to everyone. It means something different to everybody. And I think that was a fun conversation to kind of work through. Because some people, it's like you have to know all your skills. Your tools have to be very sharp. To some people, it's what have you given back to the sport. You know, there's so many. I think there's so many layers to a black belt that make a black belt. It's not just this guy can smash everybody at the gym.
Right.
Like that's cool, good job. But if you can smash everybody at the gym, but you're kind of unfriendly with everyone at the same time, like what good does that do that for? How does that help anybody? Because I think part of the fun for me is learning something and then watching like how it was done for me. When I was new, there was a brown belt who was like, "Hey man, come here. Let me teach you a few things. You're lanky like me." And he taught me those things, and I used them a lot. And now I get to teach them to someone else. Like that's what's cool for me.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like the most about it. So
I agree that jiu-jitsu is different for everybody. Being a black belt, like you can't put that in a package. No. You can't say, here's your black belt package, right?
Yeah.
It's different for every single person. Every instructor is going to kind of have a different mindset. And I think that's like a huge beauty of it. And,
I agree.
And you look at jiu-jitsu as a whole, like it's way bigger than you and I.
A little bit.
And that we're able to share and keep it alive and keep teaching the kids, teaching other adults. And that's awesome, man.
Jiu-jitsu is cool, man. I mean, I definitely stumbled onto the mats and not really knowing what it was. But now I find myself traveling with a gi and walking into gyms like I'm part of their team, which I think is the coolest thing. Like I've traveled out of state a bunch of times, and you can just show up to a gym and you're hugging these dudes by the end of it. You're like going to dinner with these guys. You just met them, but you're like already kind of like part of that crew, which is I've thought that's the coolest. Like the community thing with jiu-jitsu is really neat.
Yeah, and then I agree 100%. Like you can go somewhere and meet someone, and you're like already part of the community, and then you meet someone, I think, that lives in the area. They're like, hey, let me take you to this. Let me show you this place to have a dinner, or let me show you this hiking route, or you know, like, or
That's happened to me too. It's so cool. Went and trained, and they were like, hey, "What are you doing tonight?" And it's fights on. Where are you gonna watch? Are you gonna watch the fights anywhere? I'm like, I don't know where. They're like, come with us. Yeah. And some guy picked me up and took me to this bar, and I watched the fights with this whole team, like 25 people. Yeah. I was like, this is like I don't know any of these people.
Jiu-jitsu communities.
It's cool.
The best.
It's the best. It's great. It is pretty fun.
Now you're like we mentioned earlier, you have a lot of hobbies, and I think that's super cool, man. That I look at you and you have all these different experiences with skydiving and with gymnastics, and you're a really good musician. You're handy. Like
I like doing stuff,
man. I think you're awesome.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, like I'm very impressed, and I admire what you do.
Thanks.
One thing that you do that is also kind of like scary is rock climbing. Yeah. And you were telling me, and you're training to climb El Cap. Yeah. Can you talk about that?
We're training for it right now.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's really scary. I rock climbed growing up. I kind of did that within gymnastics.
Oh yeah,
It
kind
worked
of
out
goes hand in hand. I bet
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I was really lean and strong. Did that kind of growing up, and when gymnastics ended, I rock climbed a ton. But then this is right before I moved out to go to school. Rock climbed a lot. Kind of, it was tough to continue when you live in a dorm, and there were other things going on in that dorm which kind of took away from rock climbing.
Right.
And then I discovered base jumping. You know, fast forward like 20 years almost.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a YouTube video. I was like, man, that looks like fun. Rock climbing looks cool. I remember rock climbing. I went on the internet, saw that the gym was open down the street. I went and dug my shoes out in a harness, drove to the gym. I signed up for rock climbing membership, like kind of on that day, and said, I've wanted to climb El Cap since I was like 13. I'm going to make it happen. So I started kind of putting feelers out to see who else has a dream like this. Like, cause it's not one, you can't just walk up to El Cap and climb to the top of it. It takes so much prep work. So I've been rock climbing in the gym and I think I went to Yosemite like 8 times last year. We've been kind of making short ascents up the face of the nose, or up, the first 5 pitches of the nose, working at our aid climbing skills. It's fun. Rock climbing is very cool, but there's that fear involved with it too. It's
how far
terrifying.
up have you said 5 pitches, so like is that like
a
quarter of the way or
not
a
even
third of the way?
I think it's about
10%?
3,000 feet, so we're getting up about 500-600 feet up the nose. So we're not even we're barely scratching
Like a sixth of it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not doing math right now. But we're practicing. We're working out systems. There's so much involved with climbing a big wall route like that.
Yeah.
Like we can free climb when we go do free climbs, which is just like me and my partner, climbing partner. With minimal gear, you basically have water for the afternoon, some snacks, and you go and climb 1,000 feet. You can go knock that out pretty fast. But when it comes time to do a big wall, you've got so much gear and ropes. You're basically like a construction worker working your way up with like all this equipment that you have to lug up with you each time. You're never not working.
That's like the not fun part that people don't watch on YouTube.
Yeah, that part's rough. It's exhausting. Your body hurts by the end of the day. But
just from lugging up equipment.
Yeah, I mean, you have to hike to the base of these things.
You're already tired.
You're already tired. I mean, so like we did, we were in Mexico earlier this year, and we did a 2,300 foot climb. We did it in one day, and I mean, we were up at 2:00 in the morning making ramen and eggs, hiking by 3:00 in the morning, and we were at the base of the climb by 4 a.m. So before we even started, we've been up for 2 hours, like hiking and cooking and like getting stuff
early morning too. So you're probably sleep deprived.
Yeah, we went to bed at like 10, got like 5 hours of sleep, and then we climbed for 18 hours. It took us all day to get up. When we finally get to the summit, that's cool. You have to go down now, and you can't hike down, so you had to rappel. We had to do 23 rappels down, so we rappelled into the night with headlamps on. Started in the dark and finished in the dark.
That's really cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
But
you did that all in one day? You didn't sleep on the wall?
We did that in one shot.
Oh, wow.
And that was really cool. El Potrero Chico. Cool place for rock climbing.
Do you think rock climbing and jiu-jitsu? So you think like we already talked about this. Gymnastics and jiu-jitsu go really good together with like body awareness,
flexibility, hand strength,
and then
I think rock climbing and jiu-jitsu go together even better.
Is that a good like cross training for jiu-jitsu?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was like a blue belt and I went rock climbing with a friend and I hated it.
Because you went climbing with me once. You were pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think maybe the way I look at it is different now, but back then I hated it because we did bouldering. And I only could do like 5 minutes and I was done.
I don't like bouldering.
I was done. And like, I'm like, I'm using, obviously my technique is poor. I'm using too much grip strength, but but bouldering is a lot of more.
It's like powerlifting.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm done. I can't, this is not fun. I paid $30 to do this and I'm done in 5 minutes. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But then when I was with you and we did, what do you call it? Tandem or what do you call it?
Top roping, probably.
There you go, top roping.
Rope climbing.
That was a lot more fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer climbing, lead climbing or top roping. I like going up high. I mean,
it keeps you very present, huh?
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're outdoor climbing and you're lead climbing, which if anyone's not familiar, it's top roping is when the rope goes from me to the top, back to you. And when you climb, that rope stays tight the whole way up. So if you fall, you're just going to fall a foot or two.
The tension catches you.
When you're lead climbing, the rope goes from me to you, and I am leading that rope up the rock. And so I lead up, clip some in, and then I lead up 5-10 feet past it. If I fall, I'm going to fall like 15-20 feet. So you are in your head at that moment, and it's terrifying, and you have to stay present with yourself. And I have a little speech when I get really scared, because there's been moments where I am in a full panic mode, and my brain goes like, I just want my mom to tuck me into bed.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here right now. I want to be in my bed. I'm terrified, and you have to run through this speech.
Can you share that?
To get through it. Yeah. And my speech is real simple. And I do this over and over. It's like, I want to be here. I know what I'm doing. I spent a lot of money to be here. I want to do this. I can do this. I've trained for this. I can do this. And that's over and over and over and over and over, because it's really scary. And the fall potential is real. The injuries are real. I mean, if there's places that you fall, you might not be leaving on your feet. Like, you could definitely break your back, your legs. Yeah. And so you have to like keep your head together, really keep your head together.
And that mantra that you created, was that something taught to you, or something that you created on your own?
No, on my own.
Yeah.
You kind of have to. You kind of build this little mental prison for yourself, and you have to figure out a way to work to get out of it. And that's how I do it. I mean, that's oftentimes it's really scary when you're up high like that, and you know that you don't want to fall naturally. You don't want to fall.
Of course.
So when that fall potential's there, you have to be able to focus your head to where it needs to be, and not where it kind of wants to veer off to. And so that, I really like that.
Brings you back to the present moment.
I really love that. I mean, it's weird to say. My climbing buddy and I always talk about this, is that we always, when we're driving to a climb, it's like, let's go get scared. That's the best part.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, having those thoughts of total fear are the times, those are the spots you remember. Those are the things you talk about. And for me, that's the funnest part, because my heart gets moving during that. But you have to, like, on the surface, keep yourself together, which I think it's really fun. It
seems like a huge personal growth, because every time you put yourself through that like fear, and then you overcome it, you're like, wow, what else can I do? Yeah, you're like, you just leveled up.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a really fun, like, mental gymnastics, really. Your body is saying, like, I shouldn't be here. This isn't a natural thing for me to do. But then you're really much more capable. Your body's way more capable than you think it is. Yeah. It can do way more than you think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that's what really drives me to rock climb a lot, is being scared. And I like going high up, like Scott Evans base jumping.
Right.
I have a very healthy fear with heights, but I still definitely have a fear of heights. And I think that's why I'm still here.
Well, if you didn't have a fear, then
something's wrong.
Yeah.
You have to be scared of something that might kill you. You have to have a healthy fear of it. And because once you don't, you become kind of lackadaisical about it. You kind of come just like, oh, you don't think as clearly. But if you're scared, you're double checking everything.
More than double checking.
You're trusting your gear, but you're definitely like taking care for each placement or each thing that you're doing. Because I don't want to as much as like sprain my pinky toe. I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
I hate being hurt. And so you really move carefully when you're scared. Something I look forward to.
I think like we mentioned, that taking ourselves to a point where we're uncomfortable helps us to level up and be a better version of ourselves, whether it's rock climbing, which took you years in the gym to be able to build that tolerance to your fear, to be able to create this mantra, which is like a super like sports psychology technique that you've done. Yeah. That's amazing. And then take it to outdoors, and now have this goal, which I imagine you'll accomplish in the next year or so.
Yep, we're doing it. And it's been we thought we were going to be able to do it first year. Mm-hmm. And then we attempted a very small attempt, and we were like, oh, no, we can't.
You got humbled real quick.
We're very humbled.
That 115-pound girl that tapped you out.
Yeah, pretty much. We made an attempt on Washington Column and got, I don't know, I think we were like 1,800 feet off the ground, hanging there with this really scary pitch in front of us. And we were like, I'm not ready for this.
But when you make it to the top of El Cap, then what?
I don't know. Start crying. But I think once you get to the top, you want to forget all the pain that you just went through. I mean, I haven't heard anyone say they got to the top and like felt great.
Yeah, I think
it hurts.
I think the same thing, like when you think people that climb Mount Everest or they do something like that, it's not really about getting to the top. It's not really about reaching the black belt.
No,
It's like on the way there and all the little battles that you accomplished on the way to the top.
Yeah, and that's a fun conversation that we've had. Because, I mean, at first we said, let's just go for the nose. Which the nose at El Cap is like the most famous rock climb in the world. I mean, you could do homework on that for forever. Right. We said, let's just go for it. Mm-hmm. And then quickly it turned into, oh, we're not ready for that. Why don't we just enjoy this like ride to it? And like, that's the cherry, like that's the pinnacle, like that's the crowning achievement. That's the most famous climb. Every rock climber in the world knows what that one is. Like, let's just go do some really fun climb. Let's go have fun and become really good rock climbers, and then go and do it. And which is what we've done. And I think that we're finally at a place where we're both prepared to, really load the bags up and make a solid push for the ascent. I think we're going to do it in the fall of this year.
Oh, wow. Super cool.
I hope.
Yeah. I have faith. I know you'll do it. You put your mind to something, you do it.
Yeah. And I've definitely put my mind to that one.
Yeah.
But I do think that rock climbing,
I'm down to go with you and just like camp on the floor.
You should.
Yeah.
Go hike to the top, bring us water and hike our gear back down. That'd be great.
Sure.
But rock climbing, I think for jiu-jitsu, like I think like maybe 6 months after doing like really back into rock climbing, my grip strength went through the roof.
Really?
Through the roof.
Yeah.
Like I now think if I grab a hold of someone's gi, like I don't need to let go of that unless they do like a really snappy judo break on my hands. Like, I don't need to let go of that grip. Yeah. It's really strong. Like my forearms have gotten
the forearm
so much stronger.
Strength, endurance.
Yeah, and your back and your stomach.
Your core.
Your legs don't really improve from rock climbing.
You're just standing.
Yeah, I mean thin to win on the legs. There's no need to have big thighs when you're rock climbing.
But your back muscles must be big, no?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like strong.
Strong. I feel strong.
Pulling yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pulling around 180 pounds with my fingers. It's cool. It's definitely fun. Man. Everyone should try it. If you want to go climbing, call me up. I'll take you to the gym.
Yeah, Eric will be your best friend.
Yeah. We can eat
first
steak.
First day you meet him.
We'll go eat steak and go rock climbing. Yeah.
Super cool. We're kind of getting close on time here, but I think we have another maybe 5 minutes or so if you like. Is there anything you want to talk about, Eric? 5 minutes.
I don't know what it's like. What's your first month of being a dad been like? What's it like? I like to hear everyone else's experiences with being. If you don't mind me flipping the interview.
No, not at all. Please, yeah, this is great. We just had our daughter Elia Hana. She came like a month early. So
it's a great middle name.
Yeah, same name as your daughter.
My daughter's Hana. Yeah.
And so we were like concerned with her being born early. So it was a lot of like nerves in the beginning and just concern and but she was healthy, thank God. And we brought her home, and it's terrifying. The first night you're sleeping with your baby, you're just like, are they alive? Are they breathing? They make one little noise, and you're getting up like, what the heck's going on here, right?
I remember that. Yeah. This little tiny living thing. It's your job to keep it alive.
That's it.
It's weird, huh?
And I don't know, man. It's pretty special. Like you're looking at. I just like hold her and looking at her, and then I'm just like in a happy place.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. Like I got home from jiu-jitsu yesterday, and I held her on the couch, and then just like everything else is just
silent.
Gone. Yeah. This is it. Like, and it's nice.
It's cool, huh?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's a little bit of work, though. Would you say so?
Oh, I mean, I'm a white belt. It's kind of that was I think I was mentioning to you and other people. It's like I feel like a white belt all over again. We're in the NICU for a week, and I'm asking all these questions to like the nurses, and like, how do I change a diaper? How do I burp a baby? How do I feed them? Like, what does that mean when she does this? Or I'm just like, and I think because of me doing jiu-jitsu for so long, I know how to learn. Yeah. So I'm able to like soak up and take some little bits and pieces from everybody. And I've even done some homework and listened to podcasts and reading books.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
podcasts
on like, like on having a newborn, and it's helped me to be like a little more familiar. And at the end of the day, like I've learned so far that it's just one, keep them safe, and two, just give them a lot of love. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like I said, I'm a white belt, and I'm learning as I go, and we're doing our best. And
what would you say has been the most difficult part of being a new parent?
Well, of course, there's like this. Your sleep is not like it used to be.
You don't think so?
Sure. You're waking up every 2 hours. Like Keiko, she's been doing great. Like then there's like three night feedings, and I'll do like one, and she does the two of them, and like on average, some nights it's more or less, but she's killing it. Awesome mother. That's and another thing like I've noticed, I'm like, is there like a guilt to being a parent? Like okay, hear me out. Like you're taking care of your kid, and maybe you do something that you thought I didn't do that right, and you can't go back and make it better. Like you're holding them, and then maybe like you hold them the wrong way, and then they start throwing up. Like, did I make them throw up? Was that my fault? Oh my god, what did I do? Like,
wait till you're like loading them into a car.
Yeah.
And you're the one who's supposed to keep this child safe, and you just whack their head on the side of the door. Like,
yeah. And
there's nothing you can do.
That moment's gone. Guilt. Put that somewhere in you.
There's a few things that I remember happening like that.
The first night we were in the hospital. Actually the last night in the hospital, they let us sleep with the baby before going home. It was like a practice run, right? This is because it's a NICU, and then like, okay, you get to have a stay in. They have like a room where you stay, and the baby comes in, and that was the first night we spent the night with her, and she had a little bassinet, and I lay her down on the bassinet, and she rolls and hits her head on the side of it, and the bassinet's like a thick plastic.
Yeah.
Boom! And I'm like, oh my god! Like, I felt terrible. I was like, this is what it's like being a parent. It's just never-ending guilt.
It's never-ending guilt. It really is. It's definitely. I feel like I've got like a parenting like purple belt maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I was feeding her last night, and I was went from burping. She burped, and I brought her back to like hold her normal, and her head like went back. Whoa! And I caught it, but it went back pretty violent. And I was like, I just told her like, I'm just learning I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best.
She knows. Kids are pretty resilient.
Yeah.
They can get bumped around a little bit.
Yeah.
But
anyways, man, it's been great. And,
that was fun.
And it's nice having people like you and Mark and other dads in the family. So I feel like I've joined a different club now.
You have.
Yeah.
You're a dad now. Yeah. And you'll always be one for the rest of your life, which is also a weird thing to get your head around.
Yeah.
But it's probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, and the funnest and the most rewarding thing. It's so cool getting to watch my girls grow up.
Yeah.
It's like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you before we started, we took the car seats out of the car.
Oh yeah.
You're like, they're just not my little girls.
There must be so many little milestones like that.
Tons. And it's so cool. Yeah. It's really like, enjoy that ride, because it's a really long one.
Yeah, I could talk like forever about this, like just in the short period of time that I've got to experience life with my daughter, and I can only imagine like years down the road. Yeah. So enjoy it, huh? Yeah,
enjoy it. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but it's also like so cool.
Thanks, brother.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, girl dads rule. That's
right.
Jiu-jitsu's the best.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu's pretty good. I'll keep doing it. I love it.
Rock climbing's great for...
So just go out there and stay alive. Go do stuff you love to do. You're going to die one day, man. Go have fun.
Yeah. Put yourself in that fear, whatever it takes. Yeah. So that, like...
Stay alive.
I think that's really important for, like, we talked about that. Like, get yourself in that little fear zone, personal growth.
I like to tell people, you don't know how alive you are until you're almost not.
Yeah. The closer we are to death, the more alive you feel.
I should probably stop living that way as a dad, but...
Well, you could do it in healthy ways. Like,
I do.
If you're rock climbing in a gym, you're still kind of playing with that fear, but you're not like free soloing El Cap.
You're definitely doing some like mental yoga. It's good. Yeah. It's totally good. I'll never free solo El Cap. No.
Right.
Only real weirdos do that.
That's extreme.
Way too far.
All right, Eric.
Cool.
Daruma Dojo dialogues in the books. Thank you. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, man.